Hello and welcome to Nine's Morning News. This Wednesday, Iran's new supreme leader reports the son of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has just been elected hours after Israel struck the building where the decision was to be made. Donald Trump slams America's allies as the president reveals the strike on Iran was preemptive. The first commercial flight to arrive in Australia from Dubai's damaged airport now bound for Sydney. From bust up to break up, the Kyle and Jackie O show pulled off air after 25 years over a serious act of misconduct. The push to give overworked Aussies an extra week of annual leave with no boost to national productivity. And where to next for the Storm in their chase for Zach Lomax.
This is 9 News with Deborah Knight.
Good morning. We begin with that developing news from the Middle East, where there are reports that Iran has elected a new supreme leader. Mojtaba Khamenei, the son of the recently killed Ayatollah, has been chosen to succeed his late father, according to Iranian opposition media. It comes after Israel's strikes targeted the building where the decision was due to be made. Europe correspondent Mimi Becker has the latest.
The Israel Defense Forces says that since the start of this operation, it's managed to wipe out more than 300 Iranian missile launches. That's from their Air Force teams. Now, the IDF has ramped up its operations against Iran and Lebanon, and they are really targeting Iran's leadership. The Assembly of Experts building has been flattened, and that's the building that Iranian officials were due to decide the country's new supreme leader. The Iranian Red Cross Society says the death toll is now nearly 800, and that number is expected to rise. We've also seen thousands of Iranians attend a funeral to mourn 165 students who were killed in Saturday's strikes. They were all at a school. Now, the United Nations is calling for an investigation into that hit as a possible war crime. Iran is still firing back. We have seen shrapnel from missiles cause serious damage right across Tel Aviv. Up to 12 people have been injured today, and I chatted to David, who was sheltering at the time and came outside to find that his car had been hit.
There was a lot of ashes and all that, the guts everywhere.
Several missile siren alerts have rung out, with multiple spotted through the sky and multiple explosions being heard as well. The IDF has moved ground troops into Lebanon as it ramps up its attacks there. Beirut has been really hit hard, as well as the city of Sidon. Our residents weren't warned before that attack happened. They were then told to flee before another series of attacks. The troops advancing across the border in its attacks against Hezbollah. Across these 4 days of strikes, we've seen a serious escalation. This is having ramifications right across the Middle East and the rest of the world, and it is still expected to keep ramping up.
The US president has slammed his European allies for what he's calling their lack of cooperation on the Iran war. It comes as another US consulate is targeted by Iranian forces. Washington correspondent Lauren Tomazi reports.
This is another major escalation in the Middle East. A suspected Iranian drone hitting the US consulate in Dubai. This happened just around midnight. The US consulate didn't have anyone inside at the time. No injuries were reported, but that drone has been confirmed to have hit the car park in that consulate, setting the building on fire. I want to show you the moment of impact. The US Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, confirming the strike.
All personnel are accounted for. As you're aware, we began drawing down personnel from our diplomatic facilities in advance of this. We've been very fortunate, obviously, but our embassies and our diplomatic facilities are under direct attack from a terroristic regime.
This is the latest diplomatic mission from the United States to be hit within the region. Already, the embassies in Beirut, Lebanon, along with Kuwait and Saudi Arabia, have all been closed down amid the growing tensions. And the US president has signalled that this conflict could just rage on. America confirming it will now also organise military and charter flights in order to get American citizens out of the Middle East.
9,000 Americans have been able to leave the region since the start of this war. We have identified and continue to identify charter flights, military flight options, and expanded commercial flight options.
Today, Donald Trump inside the Oval Office and meeting with the German Chancellor. The US President saying it's his opinion that Iran was going to attack, and so America launched its bombing campaign. And new information coming in from a senior Trump administration official who says Iran was just days or weeks away from a nuclear weapon. We are now seeing the ripple effects around the world. Oil prices are surging, so too is petrol, and global stock markets are down. The global impacts here are far-reaching, and the longer this war rolls on, the more they will be amplified.
A long-awaited homecoming has finally begun, with the first commercial flight out of Dubai taking off this morning, heading for Sydney. Federal Politics reporter Connor McGovern joins me now. Connor, a lot of Aussies remain stranded this morning. More flights, no doubt, will follow.
Yeah, well, Emirates flight EK414 has taken off, Deb, arriving in Sydney at 10:30 tonight. But despite this welcome news, other flights are still being cancelled at the last minute, including one to Christchurch. While we wait for more successful departures, the ADF is on standby, preparing to help evacuate our citizens who are stranded. There are 115,000 Australians in the Middle East. The opposition wants all options considered to bring them home, including following the lead of the UK, France and Germany, as well as the US, as we just heard, who are chartering flights to return their own citizens. But the government will be happy with this morning's progress. It's somewhat pinned its hopes on commercial flights restarting.
And that requires airspace to be reopened in what is a really dangerous situation. I mean, Iran attacked 9 countries yesterday alone.
It's clear that the Australian government has been found flat-footed in the lead up to this conflict.
This is a very perilous and challenging situation that we see in the Middle East.
It's a high-risk situation, and we'd hate to lose Australians in the air.
Such is the situation. DFAT has now suspended all unnecessary travel for its own officials. Deb, Penny Wong calling this a consular crisis.
All right, Connor, thank you. An 8-year-old girl from the Gold Coast has been killed in a snowmobile accident while holidaying with her family in Japan. Chloe Jeffries was a passenger when the vehicle flipped over an embankment near the Hakuba village. The Department of Foreign Affairs is providing consular assistance to the family. She is the 4th Australian to die on Japanese ski slopes this year. A tobacco shop in Melbourne's north, which has been targeted multiple times, has again been damaged by arsonists. Let's go live to Julia Passarelli, who is at the scene for us. Julia, 2 workers were inside at the time of this.
They were, Deb. It was just before 10 last night when 2 offenders stormed the tobacco shop in Glenroy behind me and threatened those 2 workers with a firearm. They poured petrol over the counter and floor, ignited it and then fled. The 2 workers luckily weren't injured and they managed to put out that fire, while those offenders fled in a white sedan, which a short time later was found dumped and torched just 1.5 kilometres from the scene. Detectives and arson chemists have been here this morning sifting through the shop and the damage for clues. Nearby business owners tell us this is at least the 5th time this shop has been targeted and they're fed up.
I was surprised because I thought, what's happened in the past was over, So when I saw it, I said, oh, not again, not again.
It's understood a new owner only took over this business a few days ago. Deb, the offenders are still on the run.
All right, Julia, thank you. A tourist has now been missing for more than 12 hours after failing to resurface from the water at a Gold Coast beach. The man in his 20s was seen struggling off Main Beach at around 6:30 last night. Witnesses tried to reach him before a massive search effort was launched by authorities and surf lifesavers. The search resumed at first light this morning. The Kyle and Jackie O radio show has been pulled off the airwaves after 25 years due to a serious act of misconduct. Jack Hahn has the latest.
Radio silence this morning from the multi-million-dollar megastars. The Kyle and Jackie O show officially over. The 26-year marriage done. Now a divorce between the pair. Jackie telling Kiss management that she can no longer work with Kyle Sandilands after a bitter argument on the air. Kyle accusing Jackie O of being obsessed with star signs and astrology after she brought that very topic up while talking about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Kyle, right up until yesterday, thought that they could kiss and make up.
I think there were signs. I think for people working around the show, they would tell you that there was just never a chance that they would work through to the end of their 10-year contract.
Reaction has been mixed this morning. The show was enjoyed by millions of Australians, while others found the radio program vulgar and did not like the comments made by Kyle Sandilands.
They're an icon in Australia, like very well known. People love them.
I think any woman should feel safe in their workplace and in life in general. So if she doesn't feel safe, she must have a reason.
What happens to the both of them from here? Jackie's $100 million contract has been torn up. She has been offered a different contract for a different show at Kiss FM. It remains to be seen if she'll take that, while Kyle is in hot water, suspended for 2 weeks. And over this period, he'll have to convince the Kiss FM management as to why he should keep his job.
Still ahead on Nine's Morning News, breaking details, numbers just in on the state of the nation's economic health. We're live to political editor Charles Croucher on what it means for you. Plus, race week in jeopardy. Tensions in the Middle East stall the arrival of Formula One cars bound for Melbourne. And why the price of beer is going up again. This is Nine's Morning News, live on Nine and streaming on the go on Nine Now. More right after this. Returning now with breaking news, and data on the overall health of the economy has just been released. Let's go straight to political editor Charles Croucher in Canberra. Charles, hot off the press, how are we faring? What do the numbers show?
Deb, numbers show things are actually improving. That's a good sign for the way the economy is growing. Quarterly, it grew 0.8% in the December quarter, that is September through to December, and then year on year, December to December, 2.6%. That is the highest quarter of growth in a while, and that should see that 0.8%, the first figure, will flow through to the next yearly figures as they go on. So the Reserve Bank, who is watching all of this, of course, with the concern to interest rates, will like what they see there. It's also the fourth consecutive quarter that we've seen big jumps in productivity, and 17 of the 19 industries are reporting productivity growth, and we know that was a real driver for the Reserve Bank as well. A big factor on what was causing some of this consumption, household growth is again up. That is, households are still spending more, but also saving. The household saving number jumped from 6.1 to 6.9. So those who can save are savings. Those that can't continue to spend. But some of the big spending and big ticket sale items, both the Black Friday sales and Boxing Day sales, were in that quarter, and it seems Australians were rushing out to try and take advantage of those sales with things being so tight elsewhere. So it'll be interesting to see whether in this quarter we're in at the moment, people then squirrel away their money having spent during the savings. The other big thing was construction. That's not just houses though, that is big spends that are coming from state governments and local governments. So things like road and infrastructure constructions is costing a lot of money with lots of spend there as well. So in summary, Deb, the Reserve Bank will be happy with what they see. Household spending is still up though, and with an economy that's running a bit hot, that will worry them. But there's no reason to say that what we've seen today will likely push for a big interest rate jump next time the Reserve Bank meets.
Yeah, it's good to see some economic numbers heading in the right direction. Charles, thank you. 2 alleged car thieves are among 5 people arrested by police in an operation across Melbourne's east. The bumbling duo left a trail of sparks during a dramatic chase before they're accused of trying to run from police. Both men, aged 36, were caught nearby and are expected to be charged. A cargo flight believed to be carrying Formula One cars has been delayed as it makes its way to Melbourne from the UAE. It's now expected to touch down this afternoon as teams scramble to get to Australia. Charter flights by AirX and British Airways were the latest to arrive this morning, with teams and staff from Europe. The price of a pint at your local pub is set to rise again, despite the federal government's tax freeze. Andrea Crothers has more.
Well, the tax freeze might have sounded good, but it's not exactly flowing through to the bar. Lion has reportedly increased prices by 5.6%. They're behind brands like 4X, Tui's and Hahn. Asahi, meanwhile, has reportedly lifted prices by up to 3.8%. They are behind brands like Great Northern, Carlton and VB. Now, this is all despite Prime Minister Anthony Albanese making good on a promise to put that beer tax on hold for 2 years. Normally, it rises twice a year in line with inflation. Publicans say they're being squeezed. Some hotels warning a mid-strength schooner could edge towards $9, while brewers argue they're simply passing on unavoidable cost pressures. For Aussies already feeling the cost of living pressures, this is a tough one to swallow. Many punters believing if the beer tax is on ice, perhaps their bills should be too.
A high-stakes hot air balloon rescue has taken place in Texas. Firefighters scaling a communications tower to rescue stranded passengers. The balloon was trapped for more than 2 hours on the cell phone tower, more than 200 metres above the ground. Coming up on 9's Morning News, less desk, more rest. The bold new plan to increase annual leave. Plus, did you miss the blood moon? You can see the highlights from across the nation of the celestial spectacular. In sport, Craig Bellamy's hope for the future of Zach Lomax. And the AFL bracing for a record-breaking double-header. This is 9's Morning News, back with plenty more right after this. Sports news, and the Melbourne Storm has not given up hope of signing Zach Lomax in the future, but coach Craig Bellamy says what he wants to see for now is the Origin winger back out on the field playing for anyone.
Quality player, but he's a quality person too, and to lose him to another code, would be disappointing. Like I say, I just hope he gets to do what he really wants to do now, but at the end of the day, if we lose him to rugby league, that's going to be a loss.
Lomax can't play in the NRL until 2028 unless the Eels agree to his release. It's a huge weekend of sport in Melbourne, hosting the Australian Grand Prix and a game of the AFL's opening round for the first time. St Kilda and Collingwood will battle at the MCG on Sunday night after the F1 finishes, and they are bracing for a huge crowd.
We're trying to just focus on the internal more so than the external, but it's hard when you're hearing murmurs of 80, 85,000. I think it's just super exciting for everyone.
If the crowd does hit that figure, it will be the Saints' biggest ever home game at the G. Melbourne City's Asian Champions League dream is still alive, snatching a 1-1 draw against Thailand's Buriram United. The equaliser arrived in the 95th minute, sparking wild celebrations, and provides a huge boost ahead of next week's round of 16 return leg. And Liverpool has suffered a shock loss to the Premier League's last-place side, Wolves. After conceding the opening goal, the Reds drew level with just 10 minutes to play. But a 94th minute strike delivered Wolves a memorable 2-1 victory, while heaping pain on Liverpool, who are now in danger of failing to qualify for the Champions League. Australia's peak union body is calling on the government to increase annual leave from 4 weeks to 5. The Australian Council of Trade Unions will push for 25 days off for full-time workers and 30 days for shift workers. The union says more time off is necessary to make up for rising unpaid work hours and slow wages growth. They're the guardians on our beaches, surf lifesavers in their distinctive uniforms at patrol beaches, providing comfort and safety to swimmers. Now they're being celebrated nationwide for the first time with Red and Yellow Day.
Today's a day that everyone in the community can be a lifesaver too, by showing their support for volunteer surf lifesavers by wearing a bit of red and yellow when you go to work or when you're at school or when you're in the community.
And some summer statistics to make you feel even more grateful. There were nearly 4,000 rescues this last summer and close to 700 lives saved. Generally, seeing red is associated with anger, but there was none of that last night with a rare blood moon, leaving gazers in awe. The red and orange disc dazzled from Perth to Sydney, the phenomenon created when the Earth moves directly between the sun and the moon. And you'll be sorry if you missed it. The next total eclipse is not expected until New Year's Eve 2028. Stay with us. Your weather details are next as we take a look at a beautiful sunny day in Adelaide. Taking a look at the weather for you now and around the country. Brisbane, showers a top of 30 degrees. Rain in Sydney, a top of 29. 28, the forecast high for Canberra. A cloudy day, 22 in Melbourne. 25 in Hobart. Mostly sunny in Adelaide, reaching 27 degrees. A hot 37 in Perth and 31 in Darwin. Tomorrow, Brisbane, more showers, reaching 29 degrees. Mostly sunny, the same top temp in Sydney. 30 in Canberra. The cloud will clear, 26 degrees for Melbourne. 26 in Hobart, sunshine in Adelaide, another hot day, 35 in Perth and 31 degrees in Darwin. And that is Nine's Morning News for this Wednesday. We'll be back at 4 p.m. with your afternoon bulletin. I'm Deb Knight. Thanks for your company. From the team, see you soon.